Hi, Stan.
Hi, Mark.
maybe you could just characterize, you've done lots of contracts over several years, many years. What was this contract like doing it with the best and player in the world and the most important player in your franchise?
Yeah, this is unique. I mean, I would say there's nothing else like this negotiation, I guess if you want to call it that. It was really more of a dialogue and a conversation throughout the last few months, and really nothing to do with the contract itself. It was usually when you have a negotiation, it's more about back and forth on the term or the structure of the deal, but that was never talked about. It was really just the other parts of just where we're headed and the vision for the team and how we're going to improve, and all those types of discussions. So very unusual, but very interesting, and it was great to have conversations. I don't know if I've ever talked to Judd Moldaver as much as I have in the last month or so. But it's been great. So yeah, different, but it was fun.
Did you arrive at 12.5 million, or maybe you could characterize for us what your feeling was when you realized that you might get the best player in the league for $12.5 million AAV?
Yeah, and that's really a question really more for Connor than us. Like that was what Connor wanted, and it was not like we made a pitch that he should sign for that amount. That was never we never had those conversations at all. So I think when it came down to it, and we're just excited to get ourselves to where we are today. This is obviously it's a very exciting day for our organization and for the fans in Edmonton and our team. I've been able to run into some of our players here today, including Jake Walman when he was here, and like the players were shocked as well. Like, holy cow, what a leader this guy is. And I think everyone probably had the same reaction. But I guess getting to know Connor how I have, over the last year, he is a one of a kind guy. Like he's such a tremendous leader and so motivated to try to win. And I think that's a testament to who he is as a person.
Derek Van Diest of NHL.com. Go ahead.
Hey, Stan. Congratulations on the deal. I just want to ask you about what kind of onus is on you guys now to kind of build a team around him when he comes in at that number. I guess how does that kind of switch? I know you're trying to put a championship team on there, but now you have the best player saying, "Use my money to build a team around me."
Yeah, well, I mean, nothing changes. That's the way this has been since the day I started here. It was, we all have the same belief, which is the reason I came here was because I believe we can win and I want to win. And that's what motivates me to do this. And I know that's what motivates Connor. So nothing changes. I think it's continue on with our approach, which has always been, we're here pushing ourselves every day to find ways to make our team better, and nothing will change from that regard. So it's full steam ahead, and it's an exciting time to be with the organization.
And how does that flexibility help, especially going into next season, free agency, maybe trades at the deadline this year? Like how does having that extra money help you?
Well, without question. I mean, when you have more money to spend, it gives you a lot more options than you otherwise would. So absolutely, it's a great situation to be in, and we can't wait to keep going here and trying to make our team better.
Thank you for that. Reed Wilkins of Edmonton Sports Talk. Go ahead, Reed.
Thanks, Jamie. Hi, Stan. I just wanted to circle back to the $12.5 million. I mean, a player who could make as much as he wanted within the rules of the NHL CBA, decided not to get a raise. I'm just wondering, was that something you knew about earlier? Did that come to you this morning or in the last 24 hours that he was like, okay, that's the number. I'm cool making this the same.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I'm being genuine when I say every conversation I've had with Connor or Judd over the summer and the previous weeks, we never once talked about money, because that was not, this is a unique situation because it's not about the money for Connor. And I think I've been open about that's not at all what this is about. So yeah, I think he can answer that, but I don't want to speak for him because, we're just excited that he believes in where we are and where we're headed. I think that's the thing that's great news for us. And, but the number itself was nothing we ever spoke about.
And then in terms of, you've made references not just today, but in other days about discussing where the organization is at, where you're headed. With the fact that it's a shorter term deal, does that alter your approach, create a different sense of what you need to do in a shorter term? Thanks.
Yeah, no, it doesn't change anything at all for me. I mean, it's not like we're planning out 5 years from now to be a team that might be able to win the cup. And, no, our focus last year was to win. Our focus this year is to win. So this doesn't change anything. I think my conversations with Connor are just about, he's curious. He likes to know, like what's coming and what the thoughts are and how I see the team and how we can get better. I mean, it's all very good discussions, good dialogue back and forth. Yeah, he's a very smart guy in addition to being an amazing player. Like he's got a lot of good ideas, and that's why it's fun to talk hockey with him.
And Stan will go to Daniel Nugent Bowman of The Athletic. Go ahead, Daniel.
Sorry. Hi, Stan. It sounds like this, like you said, Connor, the money wasn't the only thing for him and wasn't the most important thing. So you probably knew you were going to get him a little bit less than the full 20%, threshold there. But do you start to have meetings now? How does this work in terms of, you saved a lot of money, how to kind of approach the next little while and what you want to do with that money? How do you do that?
Well, I mean, nothing changes in the short term. I think, so it's not like we're having a changing course with our plans. Like I think certainly it's a great situation to have more options next summer than we would otherwise. But I don't think anything changes. We still have to do our work and prepare for. I mean, you're constantly living in both worlds, which is the here and now. This year, like we're still focused. We got opening game on Wednesday. We're really focused on that right now and getting off to a good start and seeing how our team looks and seeing what adjustments we need to make. The fact that he's signing for 12.5 AAV, that's probably that's going to impact more where we go in the summertime. But as far as this year, that doesn't change anything. We were always going to be operating and trying to improve our team. So it's not like we're going to try something different just because of where we're at. I think it's a great situation to be in. We're optimistic for where we are right now. I like our group for this year, and getting off to a good start is important. So we're looking at that right now. And then as we get into the season more and you start looking at the deadline and the off season, then we certainly have more options than we would have otherwise. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, and you have a short term here, obviously, this coming year and then the two more, so 3. Does that make you want to be more aggressive, given that it seems like a bit more of a fixed time period? Does that make you want to put some more chips in? Not that you haven't, but to really kind of ramp it up here and go for broke?
I mean, yes, but I would say nothing's changing. I mean, we had the exact same approach a year ago. We've been, if you look at the way we've operated over the last 13 months, we've been looking at our team right now, and like we're not building to 5 years from now to be a good team. And I think so. Yeah, it's full steam ahead, and we're excited.
Ryan Rishaug, TSN.
Thanks, Jimmy. Stan, just wondering about kind of the standard that McDavid sets here in making winning the priority and future deals that you might do. Like quite often dipping into free agency, everybody kind of knows, well, you got to overpay in free agency sometimes. Is the standard here a little bit different now with McDavid setting this bar and just you're looking for players who are coming here with a like mind to winning? And you have to be a little bit careful about dipping into those free agent waters where, you're spending that money and maybe overpaying in certain situations. So how does it sort of change your player acquisition philosophy in terms of the dollars that you're willing to do on deals for guys?
I don't think it changes anything. If it's we're trying to win, and like I've said a few times now, we're not trying to build this up to be good down the road. We want to win now. So usually that requires, bringing in good players and developing players from within. I think that's the one thing I'm excited about for this year's team is we have a group of players on our team now that have a lot of runway left to keep growing their game and getting better over the course of the season. So I think, looking at our team this year, I expect our team to be a better team in the spring than we are now for a couple of reasons. We hope to add to the mix of adding new players, but also we've got a group of players much more than last year who, if we can do our job and, with our coaching staff working with these guys and them gaining experience, they're going to keep improving. So I think our team should be getting better that way. So that's really when your team has a chance to take that next step. And hopefully that final step is when we can have some internal progression in addition to external ads. So when we get to next summer, I think it's kind of the same thing. We're always looking to bring in new players that will give us a new look or give us an edge, which we don't have. And that's not going to change. We're going to have opportunities that we otherwise wouldn't have had because Connor wanted the AAV that he did. So absolutely, it's a great situation, but it doesn't change anything. Like we were planning on being aggressive all along. And, back to your question, as far as what other players are motivated by, I think when you see Connor's, it's obvious what he wants, which is he wants to win, and his actions have shown that. I think that's a pretty inspiring thing for a player to see. So each player's situation is different, but if I'm a player that's thinking to come to Edmonton for next year, it gets me pretty excited knowing how committed the captain is.
Is there a bit of a needle to thread here, though, Stan? Because, it's not like he signed an 8-year deal, and you have to maybe at the same time get this team over the hump, and try and get that cup, but also understand maybe the long-term goal is for McDavid to commit and be here long-term. And part of that has to do with making sure that it's not stripped down too much, as sometimes Stanley Cup winners have to do to get there. So are you conscientious of that balance of him looking at this long-term as well down the road?
I guess everything factors into it, Ryan, but I think, making a push to try to win is the most important thing right now. And I think that's a commitment that we've all made to Connor when we've had conversations like we're here, we're on the same page as you are. We want to win. And the other part of it is, we've got some younger players even this year, which, and we've made a commitment to our development staff and to recruiting players in Europe and North America. And that's going to continue to be a big focus for us. So I think the goal is to try to do both. And of course it's hard. We're not going to be accumulating lots of top 10 draft picks in the coming years, but that doesn't mean you can't get young players. And I think look at our roster now compared to where it was a year ago. So, we didn't get any more draft picks over that period of time, but we've been able to, find some young players and develop them. So I think that's part of what these conversations we've had with Connor is just explaining to him the vision on how can we do this? How can we also find a way to bring in some younger guys and develop them and have them, they don't have to be all world players this year, but you look ahead 2 years from now, you get a couple guys in their early 20s that have 2 years of NHL experience. That's when those guys tend to really come into their own, and that's lining up really well with this timeline. So, that's our goal.
Hey, Stan. Jason Gregor, Sports 1440.
Morning, Stan. When you look at, you've talked about money wasn't part of the negotiation really at all. It was all more kind of, I guess, educational and hearing both sides of things. I'm assuming that's rather different than a lot of negotiations you've had in the past. Can you kind of explain kind of how this was just so unique and different in your regard without money being a conversation point?
Yeah, in my experience, it's usually in every negotiation, it's a factor of the term and the salary. Those are the two things. And then once you get agreement on that, you talk about the structure, you talk about other things. But I would say in every other negotiation, it's focused on the money. So this was it was really an unprecedented type situation, and it was really trying to get Connor to a comfort level where this felt right. And I said from the beginning, I don't know when it's going to be, but Connor's going to, when it feels right to him, then he's going to make his mind up. So in the process of those discussions, then it's my job to just have conversations and talk to him and explain things and understand what he has to say. And, I'm not here to share what those conversations are, but I had a number of really good conversations with him, and it was never once about term or dollars. So it's extremely unusual. But the circumstances are unusual. I mean, Connor's such a special player and special guy, and leader that I think this situation called for probably a different approach.
And you did sign another contract today, Jake Walman, 7 years at $7 million AAV. Just kind of tell us about that negotiation, specifically what makes you excited to have him in the fold for that long.
Yeah, very excited. Had a great chat with Jake when he came in today to sign it, and he's pumped. That process has gone on for a while, and it was a situation of trying to work in with our structure, but also reward Jake for not only his current play, but his position in the landscape. I mean, when you have a year left in your deal, you're probably trying to navigate what's my value going to be if I sign, if I don't sign, what's the market going to look like? There's a lot of, I guess, predictions or a lot of guesswork in that. But in my conversations with Jake, it reminded me of like when we traded for him, and I talked to him about coming to Edmonton, and we really believe in him as a player, and we think this is going to be a great opportunity, and we don't look at this as a 1 year situation. Like right when that first conversation I had with them, I said, we see you as a player that can help us and be a part of this in the future. And obviously that's something that players, I think, like to hear, and they like to understand their role, not only in the current group, but in the future. And I think he was a great fit for our team. He came in and he really changed the complexion of our D, and it kind of made everyone just fit in their spots just right. And I think I was really impressed with his ability, and super competitive guy. I wasn't, until we got him on our team, I didn't realize how much of a warrior he was. I mean, he blocks shots all the time. He's very competitive, physical. He's got that competitive side. And on top of that, he's such a great skater. He's really effortless stride. So his mobility is really good. He's got a big shot. He's comfortable playing on the right side, which was something that we're looking for. It's always great to have a lot of right-handed defensemen, but if you have a guy that's comfortable playing there, and I think he's an offensive weapon when he's on the right side, because he's got that one-timer, and he just gives us a threat offensively beyond just Ekholm and Bouchard. Now we've got, along with him and Nurse, we've got 4 guys that they can all make plays. Jake and Darnell are great skaters, big guys, strong. So when you add that all up, it's a very big piece of the current team, and also going forward. I believe having a strong defense is very important to your long-term success for a team. especially when you have some offensive forwards that are very talented. If you can support them with guys that are comfortable with the puck, but not such one-way players that they can't dig in and play in their own end. And I think Jake checked all those boxes. So very happy that he believed in us and he wanted to be here.
That's great. Thank you, Stan. I see no other questions on the board there, so we'll end it here. Thanks, everybody, for participating on short notice. We'll see you tomorrow after practice for both Connor McDavid and Jake Walman media availabilities. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks.